esteemed speaker for today, Mr. Sriram S., Director, Human Capital, Arcesium India Private Limited. Sriram is a happiness at work expert who has authorized the book Happiness Habits for urban professionals. He has a special interest in enhancing human potential and humanizing the workplaces. He is a certified happiness coach and a mindfulness teacher and has completed several other certifications, including ICF, coaching skills, NLP, clear beliefs, train the trainer from various international organizations. He has over 25 years of work experience. Before moving to RCCM, he was with DE Shaw for 7 years and prior to that with Infosys for 9 years. He has been a HR head for over 15 years and has worked in Indian IT, MNC, as well as startup environments and has experience in the entire gamut of HR domains. He is active in NASCOM, AMCHAM, and NHRD forums. He has spoken at several forums. He actively teaches and influences high performance, personality, productivity, and a happiness mindset through his Leap Club. He is also a columnist in publications and is in the process of launching his own podcast. You can also follow him on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. I now hand over the platform to Mr. Sriram. Over to you, Mr. Sriram.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the long introduction. All right, so let me start off, and I'm going to start with my own story of why this topic and how it came about. About 9 years ago, I was traveling out of town, and one day I woke up with a lot of unease in my chest, and so and this was a pain that I'd never felt before. So I thought, okay, let me get it checked. So I went to a nearby hospital, and it was early in the morning, so they got the check done, and the ECG report that they got was abnormal. So they said you have to get admitted immediately, and the doctor will come in a few hours. So I called up my cardiologist friend, and he said just rush to a good hospital and check if there's protein in your blood. And that's what I did. And all of this took a couple of hours. And in that time, I really thought I might die. My daughter Kimaya was just a few months old at that point. And I knew that if I lived, I had to do something with my life. And by this time, and as it turned out, the test was negative. It was a severe case of gastritis, not a heart attack. But the whole incident jolted me. And by this time, I was already doing quite well, successful by many metrics. But on the inside, I felt empty. I didn't feel happy. And that prompted me to, kind of go in search of answers, go in search of happiness. And that took me to several masters, teachers, coaches, books, etc. And the fruit of that search is what I call the happiness habits. And in this masterclass, I want to offer a slice of that fruit. It's not the entire thing, but just a slice so that there's enough for you to digest and, kind of work on. So that's how, my whole tryst with this whole subject came about. And since then, I've been, actively doing several things to make sure that, that I kind of develop the expertise that is required to be able to teach this. My book, Happiness Habits, came out last year, and, it has a lot more information as well. So I'm going to share my screen. So that, yes. Okay. This was, my story that I spoke to you about. All right. So the ultimate quest in life is to be happy and stay happy. Now, this is what, from ancient time to our current times, all, philosophers, all religions, all of them, kind of promote this as your ultimate quest. Now, the question for you is, where are you on this quest? Are you hoping to be happy by chance, or are you doing something about this? That's the whole point. If you say, oh, no, I'm happy, and things like that, but does it happen by chance, or, is this something that you're doing consciously to get there? Because if it happened by chance, then you don't know, and it may go away, right? But if it's happened through, your effort, then you know that, that you can't replicate it. So happiness as we know it, what according to you is happiness? Some of you may be thinking of some pleasurable activities, like eating ice cream, but pleasure is very short-lived, and it's only a very small part of the equation, which is why your happiness is so fleeting and transient, because we are constantly pursuing pleasure. Okay, be it in terms of our material pursuits or our day-to-day pursuits, or through food, through other activities, everything is about pleasure. But then the whole problem with that is that, it doesn't last. And then we are, back to, kind of thing. And now because, you've tasted the pleasure and then you feel down, you're constantly, kind of looking for more pleasure. And that's a never-ending chase, because at some point, you cannot kind of go on that race forever. So the myths of happiness and pleasure are synonymous. Pleasure is a part of the equation, okay, but a very small one at that. And it's not the full, kind of thing. Now, other myths are that happiness is conditional, which is that, okay, if I get my promotion, I'll be happy. If I buy my house, I'll be happy. If I buy my car, I'll be happy. What happens with all of that is, yes, you are happy, but for a very short while. In fact, if you don't get your promotion, you're unhappy for a long time. But if you get your promotion, you're happy for a very short while. How long does it last? And I can tell you from my experience, probably it's a few weeks. Okay, not more than that. And then you're back to your grind, and, if it's unhappiness, though, it'll probably last, for a longer period. But happiness doesn't, kind of last. And I've done it with my promotion, with my car, with my house, all of them same, kind of things. Yes, all of them give you some level of comfort and, sometimes status, but it doesn't matter in the long term. It's only so much that it does for you. The next is in terms of money. Everybody is in pursuit of money. And, there is enough evidence through research that, of the richest people in the world, not more than 30% are actually happy, which means that 70% of the richest people in the world are actively unhappy. Okay. So there is enough evidence to say that, money is required for certain comforts and to remove the hardship, but it is not your solution to happiness. Okay. So that's the distinction. Money is not unimportant. It's important because it removes a lot of your hardships, and hardships can cause unhappiness. But beyond a certain point, it doesn't really, kind of contribute to your increase in happiness. The last bit is that, all of us want to control all events and circumstances in our life. We want to make sure that, that we know what's going to happen next. But why do you go and watch a movie? If you know everything in that movie and the ending, now will you go and watch the movie? Chances are you may not. Okay, because, there's no suspense. Our life is meant to be interesting. It's meant to have twists and turns and, and suspense and, challenges and so on. So our illusion is that I want to control everything. But the fact is that you cannot control, because can you be sure that you'll be alive tomorrow? What if you just slip on the steps and, fall down and break your head? I don't want that to happen. But the fact is it can, right? It's not it's an illusion that can we control everything? We cannot, but we want to. And in that pursuit of control, okay, we lose our opportunity to experiment, go after things that we actually should be going after. And that's what, kind of reduces your pursuit of happiness. Now, how do you own the path to happiness? One, understand that happiness is a choice, that if you choose, you can be happy despite your circumstances, because it has to do with the mind. If you can learn to manage the mind, the fact is that despite your circumstances, you can choose to be happy. Second is that you need to have a purpose. You need to understand and pursue your purpose, because then your energies, your passion, everything is aligned. Okay. And a lot of us are, kind of don't know what it is, or are trying to figure out. And because of that, you make money your purpose, or make your, promotion your purpose. And those don't, kind of give you the satisfaction you need. Third is that self-awareness is critical. All of us need to pursue self-awareness, but because only with awareness, we know where we are on that journey, and what we need to do, and so on. Other things that there is a need for acceptance, that, like I mentioned about the control, we need to accept circumstances. Some things happen which are beyond our control. And, the faster we accept it and, focus on what we can do, then, we start owning our path to happiness. Because otherwise you tend to complain and you judge or you blame. And that is a vicious circle. You temporarily, it makes you feel good because, okay, you put the onus of, that unhappiness on somebody else, but, eventually it doesn't help you. Be independent, go inward. Happiness is an inside journey. So you need to go inward. Okay. And last is your motivations, values, and mindset. Okay. I want to tell you a story of somebody who used to work with me. This is a boy called Vaman. And, in one of my previous organizations, he joined as a housekeeping staff, which is somebody who cleans the place and so on. And now this boy is very different from the others. There's so many housekeeping staff, nobody that you even notice. But this boy was special because, he wanted to be better. He wanted to grow. He wanted to make a difference. So he would come and volunteer. He would say, okay, can I help you with this? Can you teach me this? Can I, do something more, and so on. So from there, what we thought is, okay, we had a visa department. So we made him an office boy, where he would help with the filing and putting papers, and things like that. Now, from that point, he started learning English, started learning computers, to the extent that, finally he became a full-time employee in that company. In the history of that company, the standards of hiring were very high, and they'd never hired, anybody with this kind of a background and this kind of a track record. Now, that is, and his difference was his attitude. He was willing to learn. He had a positive and a growth mindset. And, sometimes you don't find that even with, your premier MBAs, because they come with an entitlement mindset. They expect things, oh, this place is not great, and so that a lot of judgment and things like that, because they expect to be treated special. Okay, but life invariably doesn't treat anybody special. You have to, if you want to be special, you need to make it happen. Okay, but that's the difference of mindset. Okay, and this is what I learned from the story of Vaman. And we need to have that positive and growth mindset. We need to have our values in place, and those are some of our ways to start owning our own happiness. Now, what is happiness? So what we saw was what is unhappiness, what is not happiness, and how you can own your happiness. Now let's come to what actually is happiness. Happiness is a state that we achieve when we peel away the layers of ignorance. It's like an onion. You keep peeling away stuff, and then you go inward. As you move inward, that state of being improves. Okay, that is your pursuit of happiness. And it's not like and the difference between pleasure and happiness is that this is a more consistent state, that you remain in that state for longer periods of time. And that's really what you'd like. The journey of happiness is the pursuit of holistic well-being using daily happiness habits. Now, this is a big thing. Just so pay attention. I'm going to repeat this. The journey of happiness is the pursuit of holistic well-being using daily happiness habits. Okay. And I'll kind of take you through why I'm emphasizing on the daily happiness habits as well, so that you get a sense of this story. So what I'm going to offer you is this acronym called DRIVE. And the takeaway for this session is, if you can create your own drive, now that is certainly going to move you forward to your own happiness. Now, what is drive? Let's start with D. Okay, D for D-Day. Do you know the story of D-Day? This D-Day comes in a lot of movies. They'll say, oh, D-Day, especially in war movies. So what do you think it stands for? dedicated day, doomsday. It's none of that. Actually, D stands for just day. Okay, but it is this plain Jane day that can make so much of a difference to our lives. Okay, every day is our life lived in miniature. Because if happiness is a journey, and your life is lived every day, any fixing that you have to do has to be in the context of the day. Because if we don't fix our day, then how will you get to happiness? Will it happen suddenly out of thing? No, it doesn't, because that is why the day becomes important. Because today you do something and you can learn to be happy today, then tomorrow you can be happy, and the day after. Or you start today, slowly it builds up and eventually reaches there. But doing something every day is extremely critical, because that is what builds up that state. Okay, often we think like, okay, if I retire from corporate, I'll be happy. Will not be happy. We've seen enough old people who are resentful and who've not really had a great life and so on. So the age and experience will not make you happy. Actions will make you happy, right? So now, so happiness comes from your daily habits. What kind of things is just a sample of things that you could kind of do, but your daily habits are extremely kind of critical. And I'll tell you a story again of why I feel that this is extremely important. I used to be very critical, and in fact, it's helped me in my job also, because when you want to do reviews and things like that, being critical is useful. The only problem with that was I didn't feel good. I felt like I wanted to be nicer, I wanted to be more compassionate, more caring, and so on. So I started with a gratitude practice where I started writing 5 things I was grateful for. Just that. And do it daily with discipline. Over time, what I realized was things that would irritate me, things that I would judge and complain about, no longer triggered me. And I realized that I was starting to see more of the good than the bad. Okay. And as I kept doing this, eventually I was grateful for literally everything in my life. Now, that is the power of kind of daily habits. It happens similarly with my appreciation also. And I started an appreciation practice where I would write 2 things, write to 2 people, and appreciate them using reminders. But over time, I became a lot more appreciative. Of course, my wife will probably say, buddy, you have a long way to go. And I do. The fact is, I know that I've shifted on the inside. Okay, because it's happened with other things as well, with my focus, with my fear, and things like that. So I knew for certain that your daily habits make a difference to your life. Okay, but what if this was only my experience? So I went searching a little bit, and I, looked at examples of successful people and what they attributed their success to. Now, most successful people in the world attributed their success and happiness to their daily routines. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, so I dug a little bit deeper, and I realized that most ancient wisdom traditions have always emphasized on the importance of daily habits, be it your meditation, be it your yoga, be it your namaz, be it your saying grace. Okay, so now, obviously, there was something over here, right? There's something, why is it that everybody was, talking so much about your daily habits? And this is the discovery that I made, which is transformation happens gradually through consistent action. Okay? Transformation happens gradually through consistent action. Now, obviously, if it's a gradual process and you need to do it regularly, then how do you do it? You have to do it in the context of the day. There is no other way. Okay. And this is what I realized. This is what successful people have realized. This is what all our religions and wisdom traditions over thousands of years have realized. Okay, and they've packaged it into rituals and things like that, where they use fear sometimes to force you to do it. But the truth behind it is this: because transformation takes time, it happens slowly, and it happens through regular activity. But if you do it, it happens. Right? So now, what about science? What does science say with regard to the daily habits? Now, meditation actually changes the neural pathways of our brain and makes us happier. Even take other activities. Say you do exercise. What happens when you exercise is that it releases endorphins into your bloodstream. Now, these endorphins are feel-good chemicals. They actually go and change the chemical composition in your blood, and they make you feel good. Now, when you feel good, the thoughts are better. Now, if those thoughts drive your actions, your daily actions are better. Now, it is these daily actions which finally add up and give you the results in your life. So that is the connection. This is not something where, somebody is saying it, so why should I believe it, right? But they're not saying it just out of thing, because it is there is a scientific, reasoning for this as well. And that has been decoded and, put in a format where people can follow. Okay, but the problem is that in our generation, we don't follow what, our traditions have said. And hence, the need to bring it back into our lives is so critical, because that is the path. That is the path that will take us to where we need to go. Okay, so I hope I've sold you on the D day, right? So we started with drive, we finished D. Okay, we're moving into R. Now, we're not going on a romantic drive, okay? But so R stands for something else. It's called rituals, okay? Now, if you want to do something every day, the best way to do it is to create a ritual, okay? Now, how do we do this? Okay, now, rituals are typically things that you would like to kind of package around things that you do every day, which is, say, there are things that we do every day. We wake up, we brush our teeth, we eat breakfast, we start our work day, we end our work day, we go to sleep. Now, if we can take these zones, and build things around it, the chances are that we are likely to follow those, kind of rituals. So let me walk you through an exercise, like, say you want to institute a morning routine. Okay, so you'd wake up, and as your foot touches the floor, you'd smile. And as you smile, you're grateful for being alive. You bless the people in your life. You bless all the things in your life. You bless your day. You get up, you use the washroom, you come out, then you brush your teeth. Okay, and as you finish brushing your teeth and you're going to put that brush down, you want to institute a new habit of drinking water, because water is very important. And so how you do this is, as you put your brush down, you make sure that the bottle is visible and accessible to you. So you reach out, pick up that bottle of water, and then you drink it immediately. And don't put that bottle down yet, because we want to put in another habit of getting some fresh air, some me time, some nature connect. So you walk with that bottle, you open your balcony door, then you put the bottle down. What you've done is you use the bottle to trigger your next habit. Now you go and get some fresh air and come back, and so on. So you build kind of thing. Basically, this is also called habit stacking, which is, referred to in the book Atomic Habits. How this works is that you first pick something which you can use, which is, in our case, brushing the teeth. Okay, from there, then you say, okay, what is the new habit that I want to put in place? I want to put in place drinking a bottle of water. So critical things, you want to make sure that it is visible and it's accessible, and you do it immediately. Because if you don't do it immediately, in that transition, you can get distracted. So which is why you want to set it up like dominoes, one after the other, so that one thing will trigger the rest of the actions. Okay. Now, if you do it this way, the fact is that you are most likely to follow it, because the biggest reason that people, despite good intentions, don't follow through on their daily habits is because, the reason? They simply forget. Our rituals will make sure that not only do you not forget it, but it's also easier to do. And because it's easier to do, the chances of you doing it are that much higher. Now, that is the power of rituals. Okay. From rituals, we move on to the I in the drive, which is called inspired action. Okay. Now, you need to choose your inspired actions, which are the actual habits that you will put into your ritual. Okay. Now, what are those actual habits? What is it that you need to choose? Here, I want to show you my 7 quests model. Now, this is a detailed model, and it is a whole, holistic pursuit of happiness. It requires you to focus on being a better human, which is the better me, pursue your purpose, bring in balance in your dimensions in life, like health, wealth, career, abundance, parenting, spirituality, hobbies, and so on. Okay. Then emotional mastery, living in flow. And then you have healing and mindfulness. Okay. I've called it the 7 quests because all of them are required to be done eventually if you want to pursue your, kind of happiness as a destination. Okay. Now, to simplify it and make sure that people are able to start off somewhere, I've created the drive. Now, the drive is a simplified version where you can start with, some actions, because only the traction will help you move forward. And as you move forward, then you focus on the quest, and then each of them will offer you awareness, will offer you strategies, will offer you actions that you need to take to actually achieve this purpose. So, but for the purposes of this session, let's get back to our drive. And in that drive, the only thing you want to do is to make sure that the actions you put in are holistic. Because if you have a hole in any big dimension, say your relationship, or for example, money. For example, if you take the case of Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, right, that, he had all the money in the world, but then he didn't have health. Now that hole now leaked away his life and happiness. So what is the point of all the money? Right? So if you have a hole that can, kind of leak away your happiness, which is why you need to make sure that all important dimensions of your life are taken care of. Now let's just look at a few examples, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, just to give you a sample of what kind of actions can you actually choose from each of these dimensions. And you can just pick 1 or 2 from each of them or more, but we want to arrive at 10 actions, not more than 10 to start off. So you choose 10 to thrive. Okay, that's the thing I want you to remember, 10 to thrive. You want to pick 10 actions. I'm going to show you your choices. So there's like multiple choice, you choose. Maybe you can write down the ones that resonate with you. And then once you've chosen them, then we'll, kind of see how we can fit it into your ritual and what else. Okay. Gratitude and kindness, which is like you can start with a gratitude practice where you, kind of write down things, or you, kind of think about them, or you do a gratitude meditation and so on. Exercise could be yoga, it could be a gym, and meditation, extremely critical. I would certainly suggest meditation as it's a superpower. If any successful person, if you take, chances are that they're a meditator, because it makes so much of a difference and it helps in your longevity. You can maybe reach a certain level of high performance now, but if you want, to stay in the game for a longer period of time, you need to start meditation. It is just simply, a no-brainer. You have to do it if you're looking at, success or happiness. Self-compassion, we're extremely critical on ourselves. So a little bit of self-compassion is important. Connection with others. How do we, keep our connection going? Sleep and nutrition. Sleep, I'll explain a little bit more. And also we need to get rid of our, anger, resentment, and so on. Find your release. Maybe journaling is a good way to, kind of release your emotion. Even breath work, Kapalabhati could be one way to, kind of release your emotions. Sleep is extremely important. Certainly have 1 or 2 things around sleep. Things I kind of recommend: 7.5 hours of sleep, stick to a regular schedule, eat 3 hours before you sleep, have a shutdown routine, because the blue light in your devices, mimics sunlight and it can disrupt your, sleep hormones. Make the room pitch dark, so that, because your lights have this blue light, kind of thing, but keep it pitch dark. That's important. Have it at the right temperature. And you can choose, which of these resonate with you, but have something around sleep in your 10 actions. Morning routine, again, whatever else you do or don't do, morning routines are extremely important. Okay, options for you. You could choose to hydrate, drink a bottle of water, like I explained earlier, do some breath work, do meditation, connect with nature. We just walk, and not with your phone and, with your headphones and all that. But, if you really want, just feel. There's so much that you can just, kind of think. And these are important because, see, we've been in this modern world only for about maybe 5,000 years. And for millions of years before that, nature was our go-to. Nature was our connection. And that is still encoded in our DNAs. Often we forget it. We think, oh, okay, being busy is thing. No, nature does its own healing on its own. right? And gratitude. Okay. Other things that you can do for your, in terms of your morning routine, visualization. You could do an exercise routine. You can do your nutrition, manage your energies, journal. At work, some things that you can do is, one thing I would recommend is to figure out when your high energy and low energy zones are. Typically after lunch is your low energy zone. So don't have anything very strategic, very thinking kind of activity at that time. Have something which is more tactical, which is like respond to emails. Okay, that could be something, or have your meetings after lunch, because those things keep you awake. But if you're trying to do something very strategic, it's kind of difficult. So manage your energy, align it to your energy cycles. Take micro breaks. Ideally, between 20 to 30 minutes, you have to take a break. Okay. And this need not be a long break. Just a short break is, kind of good for you. And do your difficult things in your high energy window, take breaks, etc. Avoid multitasking. Okay. Single tasking is actually your, kind of single biggest, kind of productivity enhancer. Have an end of day routine so that you know what you achieved, what you need to do for the next day. Minimize your distractions, okay, which is shut down your tabs, have a single tab open, remove all the clutter in your desks and so on. Healing, you wanted to try some yoga, some breath work, some sound healing, even some sound playing in the background, gratitude, etc. We've spoken about already. Also practice some forgiveness. We hold on to a lot of things. How do you do it? You can do it through journaling, which is just start with, I forgive, and just keep writing, whatever comes to your thing. Cleanse your space, okay, which you can do it with a Dhoop, or you can have it just even fresh air is also okay, but you need to get rid of stuck air in your spaces, okay? And nature connect, I already spoke. Mindfulness, reduce your distractions. One exercise that I recommend in mindfulness is when you start your work day, do something called empty your mind, which is just write everything that's in your head onto paper. From that, you choose the things that are priority for you and then bring it on to your, to-do list. Okay. So empty your mind is something that you could try here. Overcome your emotional derailers, practice being fully engaged, which is if you're eating, for example, right? Taste the full thing. Can you take at least about 20 bites of that bite that you put in your bite? Because then focus is on what has gone in. Probably about 100 odd people have been involved in bringing that one, mouthful to you. Okay. But we have no realization of any of that. In fact, after the third bite, even the tastiest food has no taste because we are already zoned out. It's become, you're used to it, watching TV, you're speaking to somebody and so on. But practice being fully engaged in what you're doing. Okay. And let's also be non-judgmental, which is that there's a need for us to criticize, blame, and judge everything that is there. The more we are able to, kind of refrain from doing that, the easier. So basically acceptance of what is okay. Somebody did something, maybe, they had their reasons to do it, but I don't need to engage with it and become extremely, critical about it. So I've given you samples, I hope, and choose the ones that work for you. Choose the ones that move your needle of happiness. These are just samples, okay, and examples to make sure that you get an idea of what I'm talking about. So when you've chosen, choose 10, any 10 of them, okay? Now, when you've chosen your 10, okay, then you pick and cluster them, okay? For example, in this case, you have meditation, breath work, gratitude, journaling. Now, if I want to put this into my morning routine, then I would create the ritual, which is I would start with, the activity that can trigger. For example, I drink water automatically. So my bottle can be the trigger for my meditation. So I keep the bottle, I go to my meditation space, and along with, as I finish my meditation, I do my breath work, I practice my gratitude, I keep my journal next to me. So everything happens one after the other, and I'm able to kind of finish my morning. Similarly, you take 3-4 of them, put them into rituals that you can follow. An ideal time slot would be morning routine, maybe something around your start of your work day, something around end of your work day, and something around your bedtime. So those can be, definitely go to kind of routines. You can have other routines also. Start with 10. Now, we move on, we're back to the drive, and we are at V. Okay, V stands for value. Now, we are gamifying this whole thing because that's the, kind of the new generational stuff. We want everything to be gamified. And it's good also because it'll make sure that you're engaged with what we are doing. Now you give yourself a value of 10 points for every habit. So you pick 10. Okay. So if you do all of them in a day, you will have 100 on 100. Okay. So that is your challenge. Now your target is to get to 10K, just 10,000 points, and it will take you a minimum of 100 days to get there. Don't protest about 100 and all that because we're talking of lifelong habits. So 100 is a very small portion of your 30,000 days that you're going to live. Okay, so, and it's not the 100, we are talking of lifelong things. So when you're choosing also, make sure that these are lifelong choices, things that you want to, kind of do every day. And if you want to track your progress, you have to do a daily review. Ideally, do it just before you sleep. Okay. Now, the daily review not only helps you keep track of scores, but it also helps you do other things, which is one is you can appreciate yourself for the progress that you have made, even if you did only 5 things, right? That's more than what you did, for so many years of your life. Appreciate yourself for it. Okay. Second, it also tells you what is not working. And it gives you the opportunity to take corrective action on things that are not working. Okay. So now you have your, you have your game and you have your, 10K challenge. Now we move on. So this is we're almost set, right? But we still have E left. Now, why do I have E there? Now, E is for eliminate. You need to eliminate your time wasters. If you want to allow the new to come in, you need to get rid of the old. How do you do that? You create a not to do list. And what are the things that you are not going to do are things which are wasting your time in your day, which is like, okay, reduce your screen time, stop watching news. So make a list of all those things which are, absolutely worthless and they're taking away your time. And sometimes you don't even realize that these things are taking away. So make that not to do list and slowly start eliminating it from your day. If you eliminate those things from your day, you become clutter free and now you're ready to drive into happiness. Okay. Shaquille O'Neal, one of the all-time basketball greats, had this to say. He said, excellence is not a singular act, but a habit. You are what you repeatedly do. Okay. So that is the formula. So we have the drive. Start with your day. I've sold you on the day, on why it is so important. From time immemorial, people have emphasized on the day. We need to understand the importance of the day. Create, first figure out the zones around which you can create rituals. Identify, I is your inspired actions. Identify those from a holistic framework, what works for you. From after you've identified, put them into rituals. Create clustered kind of rituals where in your morning routine, you'll have 3 or 4 things that you're doing, something around your work day and something around your bedtime routines. Okay. Now we've gamified this. Each of them, you give your 10 actions a value of, 10 points. Your target is to get 100 on 100 and reach 10K as quickly as you can. Because if you get there, chances are that these things would have become automatic. And after that, if you want, you could take more inspired actions. Because if people are saying, oh, I don't want to take 10, I want to take 20. First start with 10, finish it, let it become automatic. Then you have your life ahead. You can take more. And as you're doing all of this, learn to keep eliminating your time wasters. Okay. If you waste, too much time with your entertainment, then, these things will start stressing you out. So if you eliminate your time wasters, all these new things can be done with no effort at all. It becomes extremely easy to do. Okay. So the drive can change your life. Okay. Happiness habits with the drive can change your life. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Okay. If you really want to be happy, then you need to create your drive and move forward into happiness. Make happiness a habit. And if you're ready to be happy, then create your drive. Today is the day. Don't wait. Today is the day. Okay. And some of my contact information is here. They put my LinkedIn over there. I'm on Insta. It's called Build Happiness Habits. I have my website as well. So you can follow me on any of these spaces. Thank you very much. I'll stop there and I'll open it up for any interaction or questions.
Thank you, Mr. Sriram, for this very insightful presentation. Before we move to the Q&A session, we will be initiating the poll. So request all participants to kindly share your feedback. While doing so, request all participants to kindly post their questions in the chat window. Once again, I thank all our participants for joining our session today. We have received a lot of inquiry about the e-certificate offered by HRAI. You can claim your certificate by sharing your details, name and session attended in an email to the email ID provided in the chat window. Please ensure you do this by the end of this month. We will email the e-certificates to you based on the details received. Mr. Sriram, we have received one question from Pooja. She's saying how to live in the moment and avoid distractions, negative thoughts.
Okay. See, it's a big thing. It's not a small thing. Living in the moment is a good, kind of thing. But to do it, actually, you need to do the whole gamut of things, because your mind is like a monkey mind. It's always jumping, and that's its, kind of tendency. Now you're trying to control something which automatically tends to, kind of go from one thing to the other. So if you want to do that, you need to practice. Okay, practice requires discipline, which is where the daily happiness habits comes in, so I would certainly recommend, do a little bit of meditation and breath work. Those will calm you down. Whole point is that there's lots going on. Often we think that, we get about 60 to 65,000 thoughts in a day. Okay, just imagine that there is so much clutter going on, and many of these things are just repetitive things about what you will forget, things you have to do, and things that you're afraid of, and things like that. So now, if you want that to reduce, clarity comes from the fact that you're clutter-free in your head. So you want to reduce the thought density in your head. So you need to do a few things. Okay, one is meditation will calm you down, because it will actually change your neural pathways, reduces your thought. Okay, breath work will release the tension. Because if you have tension that, I'll forget this, I'll do this and all that. So breath work, a little bit of, Kapalabhati or even alternate nostril breathing, all these things will calm you down. Then, and of course the daily routines, all of them, if you practice, will, kind of help you. But you can also do the empty the mind that I spoke about, which is whenever you get overwhelmed, just put everything on paper. The moment you put it on paper, there is a sense of control, because okay, this is all the things that I need to work with. Then you have a thing of saying, okay, what is my priority? I have this much time today, and I need to work with what is important. And then you choose. Okay, so that will also kind of thing. And consciously try single tasking, which is don't, whenever you get distracted, come back. Whenever you're trying to do multiple things, come back. Because we don't have the ability to process. The only thing is that you can do something like maybe wash your vessels and listen to music, or drive your car and listen to a podcast, because they are two separate channels. But you cannot do two physical things or two mental things. So if you try some of these, actions, chances are that you're able to, kind of thing. I would say create your drive first. Create your drive, follow it. Over time, it will happen. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a multi-pronged strategy that you have to use. And when you get there, because this is the greatest thing, if you achieve it, there is, that's what people are looking for. If it's not such a easy thing to think, because the whole world is looking for this.
Thank you, Mr. Sriram, for this answer. I believe Pooja must have got the answer to her question. So there's one more question from Aditi Verma. She's saying how to control overthinking, like how one can control overthinking.
See, it's the same thing that I've, kind of spoke about earlier. One thing I would say is also do a little bit of journaling. With overthinking specifically, because it results in overwhelm, and sometimes it's got to do with anger and resentment and things like that. You have to find your release. With overthinking, what you want to do is you also want to find your release, which is how do I release that tension which is there? One of the ways to do it is to journal, which is to just write whatever is going on in your head. You don't have to show it to anybody. You can, kind of tear that page and throw it away and all that, but it helps you thing. Other ways to release are, of course, with nature connect. You can even just connect with, go touch trees, touch plants. All of them have the ability to heal us as a thing. Or the other thing is, if you're angry and hence you're overthinking, you just go to a quiet place where you can scream, you shout out. See, find your release. And there are different ways to kind of think. Some people can connect with music. That can, thing. So overthinking happens with everybody. Okay. But when it stresses you and it's causing you to, you're asking this question because it's causing some kind of pain. Right now, you have to deal with it. So choose any of, from what I've kind of presented and try, start with one. Start with one, see how it works. Even if you do one thing consistently, you'll notice a shift.
So there's one more question from Nidhi Kajjar. She's saying how to build resilience in bad days instead of sulking.
See, everybody has bad days. There is nobody in this world who doesn't have bad days or who doesn't go through bad times. Okay, it's an illusion if you think that, oh, it is only affecting me. The whole world, from the richest people to the poorest people, have their own bad days. But the important thing is our ability to recover from it. So there are two ways. One is because most of these times we attribute that bad day to something that is happening from the outside. Okay, so the thing that you want to be able to do is to first take ownership, which is the first thing that I spoke about, which is take ownership for the fact and understand that everybody has bad days. Okay, and it's not the end of the world. You go through it and you have the thing, and that is when your standby, when you develop these daily practices, what happens is it serves you, like what I said in my gratitude thing, right? That it comes in at times when you don't realize. You think you're doing some gratitude 5 minutes in the morning, but actually it's not that. It changes the way you think. That is why these things are important, because it points you to saying, okay, but what's good in that? Maybe there is something that I need to learn from it. Maybe there is some growth that I need. Maybe there is something that I'm not aware of. Okay, so those are the ways for you to kind of deal with this.
Okay, so I think we are done with the questions. No more questions. So thank you, Mr. Sriram, for this very insightful and intriguing session. There are many takeaways from this session, but the main is the DRIVE framework: day, rituals, inspired actions, value, and eliminate. It has been a pleasure being with you today. I'm sure our participants had a lot to learn and take away from this session. Before we conclude with today's session, we would also want to thank the association members, Geisha, NASCOM COE, LinkedIn Local, Talgro, TLE, and WICCI for supporting these HRAI events. To know more about these associations, request you to kindly visit the link provided in the chat window. Thank you once again, dear speaker and our participants, for joining us today. Do join us for our next masterclass by Mr. Sarabjit Sachar, founder and CEO, Aspirations Job Matters, on the topic Tap the Hidden Jobs. That's it from our today's webinar. See you soon. Stay safe. Take care and bye for now.
Thank you.
Mr.
Bye-bye.
Sriram.
Bye.
Bye.